All right, so this question comes up quite a bit at Dream Conference, and it's how do you kick people out of your program, which is completely heartbreaking and counterintuitive to what we're trying to do, right? Like, we're not trying to kick people out, we're trying to get people in. But if you've done this any amount of time, everybody has that first person, right? That first one that just breaks your heart, breaks your bank, and breaks your program virtually. So you do have to be able to excuse people out of your program. The first place I'll start is just recognizing your state and wherever you're at. Every state has different housing authority rules and permitting rules. So if, which you should be, you are permitted under a group home license or boarding home or whatever it is, they're going to have rules about how to kick people out. You'll want to, in your rules and regulations, in the paperwork, and the authorized release of information that people sign before they come into your program, you're going to want to have this one point nailed down. And it's a point somewhere in there that delineates and says that this is not a housing agreement, this is not a lease, this is not rent. This is a program, and thus no landlord-tenant relationship exists. And somewhere in there, your legal team is going to want to make sure that point is elaborated and that people sign next to that point. If it can be proven or shown that there is some landlord-tenant relationship, then the termination of people goes down the eviction route, which can take 60 days, 90 days, sometimes longer, depending on the situation in the state. So we try to make clear that this is a program agreement we're entering into with our people, and that no landlord-tenant relationship exists. So from there, then, I should probably say from that moment on, then, you do have the right to just arbitrarily kick people out. The legal right, it's private property, and there's no landlord-tenant, and it can send you down a road of just, you got the right to do it, but honestly, a lot of this really is not about what you have the legal right to do. A lot of it is what makes sense for your church and your board. How do you want to be known for how you let people go? You may have the full legal right to kick people out, but that they have the right to sue you and to come after you and to tie you up in civil and different courts and things like that. So don't misinterpret your right to exercise your right to kick someone out. Don't misinterpret that right with this whole other process, which is what I'm talking about. This process to do it a right way that will not only make sure that it's legal for you to do it that way, but also will greatly diminish your follow-up lawsuits, bad news stories, and things like that. So that honestly is what we're really talking about here. Is not whether or not you have the right to kick people out. It's what's the fallout of that going to be. So this is the process that we go through to ensure that the fallout is minimized. First, we get coffee. So our process for that unfortunate event where you need to kick people out, you want it to be heartbreaking for your people, and you want to instill an environment of that, not like ding dong, the witch is dead, and well, thank God that person's gone, like they were terrible. They may have been terrible, and you may feel that, but you want a culture of this is absolutely heartbreaking. But essentially, the other culture you try to extend is that there are certain things that are just agency no-nos, like violence, drugs. It's going to be different in your case, but there are certain things that go straight from a warning to a termination of services. Now, one thing I'll say is that on all of our campuses, there is one thing that sort of trumps the whole process, and it's because try to think of it in terms of this, like, because your permitting is from the state or through the state, or your licensing, any state agency or state official has the right to come in and in our rules circumvent sort of the whole process. So someone may come back with drugs, but our process is to terminate them or suspend them, whatever. I'll get into that, and to give them the right to appeal the different levels. But if they come back with drugs and the police are there and the police choose to remove them off property before they go through our process, that's the one sort of legal way you can work around our system that we have. And so in essence, whatever the rule violation is, get our chip. It'll have our database on it and how we do all this stuff. But essentially, what we have is our process is the person is written up for the offense. They are given the offense. They have to sign it. They don't have to sign if they agree, and sometimes if they're really heated, they won't sign it. But everyone has the right to appeal. You can appeal warnings. So we have 3 layers. We have warnings, suspensions, and terminations. Warnings are, this is going into your case file. It's formal now. You may have had other verbal warnings, but like we're telling you officially on paper, you got to clean your room, man. And like it's got to be clean. The suspension is the next step, and in a suspension case, we're saying that the offense, whatever it was so, we're just not getting through to you, or it affected the rest of the team so much, the rest of the clients so much that you got to go for like 5 days or 2 weeks. Now we work with them and we get them that other place to go, or the final one is a termination. Now the warnings just kind of they build up in their case file. The suspensions, they have 72 hours to appeal and to work through that. The terminations, because typically those are more severe situations, they have 24 hours to appeal and to get their stuff moved out and to move on. But everyone has the right to appeal. And so the way it works for us is there are house parents or RAs or shift supervisors on kind of the first level. And they're the ones dealing with all the stuff, quite frankly. I mean, they're the ones that have to get yelled at because the wake-up time was too early, or I don't want to clean my room, or they're the ones coming into the situation when 2 clients are fighting or yelling at each other. Like, they're the ones that see the frontline stuff. So they're writing it up. They're making a recommendation to the agency to terminate or to suspend or just to do a warning based on their experience for the situation. And so they'll write up the first one, or the manager level, supervisor level will write up the first one, and let's say somebody is getting suspended. Well, that person gets that, the paper, they get to write down why they're whether they agree or disagree, and then they have the right to appeal. Now, when they appeal, they get a grievance form, and they get to fill out why they're appealing. No, I had permission from another leader to do this, to come back at this time. Now this leader is just angry with me, and they're just not letting me do it, and so I want to appeal to the director of the program. And so then the director gets that. The director is looking from a different agency perspective at that first level of appeal. They're looking at, how does this affect other places? There's an in-depth training we've done on this, on that little chip drive that we have. So they're looking at, how does this affect other programs? And they'll either rescind it, which means they'll take it back, or they'll make it stick. At that point, the person has the right to appeal again to that person's director, and then one more time to the highest level of our agency. They have the right to appeal at all those different layers. And now here's what it's done. It's not just an exercise in futility, and as much as the directors and the supervisors may feel like it is, it's not just trying to keep them accountable. But what it is doing is a couple things. One, it is keeping, oh boy, I pull up to the Dream Center as a whole young family. They're homeless. We're getting them water. Mom's pregnant. She got 1, 2, 3, 4 kids with her in a shopping cart. Like, welcome to the Dream Center. What are we gonna do today, right? So anyway, they were not terminated. We're trying to get them in. Oh, she's got 5 kids. That's nice. Okay, we got to help those people. So what the layers does is it provides some accountability, a checks and balance for all your leadership in your organization. And so everybody knows, because I can't emphasize this enough, like when you're on the front line, I've been on the front line, like it's, man, you just want to get people out of your hair and out of your face, and you see them poisoning the whole thing. But what you don't see when you're on the front line is that bigger legal picture. You don't see that bigger sort of plan that has to happen in order to keep the agency legit and above board, And so there's that layer. The other thing that it does, honestly, is if it's ever challenged, like if the Equal Opportunity Housing Department ever comes to you and challenges, why did you kick this person out, or your permitting challenges it, or the news media, or your church, or somebody challenges it, what you're able to present to them is a case where every layer in our organization looked at this case, we looked at all the details, we did the interviews, and we all agree as an agency, not just one rogue supervisor that, yeah, we've been dealing with him or her, they just kick people out, but everybody in your agency has looked at this case and come into an agreement, an alignment that we're all behind this. That provides you with an almost bulletproof case for those unfortunate situations where you have to kick people out. So in essence, or in summary, give people the right to appeal above the person who is terminating them, even if that person is you. You'll be thankful for this. I've been at all those layers. I've worked in agencies at all those layers, and I've had multiple people above me, and all it made me do was make sure that I was taking a step back, really looking at the case, not just emotional, not just my flesh, like wanting to kick someone out. It really made me say, okay, let me write this out. Let me document this in such a way that other people agree and other people see it too. Or I need to chill out and I need to back off and I need to realize that it's just my flesh. I have a ministry to this person that we're trying to get kicked out of here, and it institutes fair practices for that. So hope that's been helpful, giving you kind of our tips on how we do that very unfortunate thing of having to kick someone out of your program. We're going to go help some people. God bless you. Bye-bye.